we support one another. We're there for one another as a family, and we just have to know now that and be glad that it's all over.
It was my dad. My daughter killed him.
Brittny J. Dwyer, aged 20, has been convicted of the brutal murder of her 81-year-old grandfather, Robert Wytwill, in Craigmore, a suburb in the northern region of Adelaide, South Australia. The murder took place in August of 2016 and has since shocked the community, sparking widespread discussions on the influence of media, particularly violent television shows, on vulnerable individuals. Dwyer, alongside her accomplice, 22-year-old Bernadette Burns, travelled from their home state of Queensland to Adelaide with a singular goal: to steal the savings that Wytwill, a retired pensioner, had stored in a shed in his backyard. The elderly Wytwill had kept his money close, suspicious of banks and their safety protocols, but his preparations for financial security would ultimately prove to be his undoing. Both women pleaded guilty to murder and have been awaiting sentencing for their roles in the crime. As the details of the case unfolded, the motives behind the heinous act became more complex and disturbing. The court previously heard that Burns, who played a passive role in the murder, waited in the car while Dwyer entered Wytwill's house, armed with a knife and wearing rubber gloves. It was later revealed that Dwyer had meticulously planned the crime, intending to take what she could from her grandfather in the form of money, without his knowledge or consent. During a pre-sentencing hearing on a Wednesday in 2019, Dwyer's defense lawyer, Craig Caldicott, shocked the court with an unusual claim. He revealed that Dwyer had been heavily influenced by the popular television series American Horror Story, which often portrays violent, disturbing, and grisly themes. According to Dwyer's defense, the violent actions depicted in the show significantly motivated her to carry out the crime. The aspect of this case involving a young woman who was motivated by a television series is deeply disturbing, said Caldicott in his plea for leniency in sentencing. It is concerning to think that a fictional show could have such a profound impact on an individual's psyche, leading them to commit such an unforgivable act. American Horror Story is a widely popular series known for its graphic depictions of violence, murder, and the human capacity for evil. Across its various seasons, the show explores themes that often delve into the darkest corners of human nature. The characters frequently engage in brutal acts of violence, and the series presents these violent actions as part of a larger narrative about power, survival, and moral decay. While the series has garnered critical acclaim for its storytelling and performances, it has also raised ethical questions regarding its impact on viewers, especially those with a predisposition for violence or instability. In Dwyer's case, the show's themes seem to blur the line between fiction and reality, with tragic consequences. Caldicott urged the judge to show leniency when determining the duration of Dwyer's sentence before she could be considered for parole. He emphasized her young age, noting that she was only 19 years old when she committed the murder. She was just a teenager at the time, and we are dealing with someone who has not yet fully developed the ability to understand the long-term consequences of their actions, he argued. She was influenced by external factors, and this is something that should be taken into account when sentencing. However, Judge Kevin Nicholson, who presided over the case, was not swayed by Dwyer's age or the defense's argument. While he acknowledged that Dwyer was young, he emphasized that her age could not fully explain the calculated nature of the crime. She had a good upbringing, a solid education, and came from a stable family, Judge Nicholson remarked during the hearing. Yet, she chose to commit a heinous crime against her own family member, and this must be taken into account. The murder of Robert Wytwill left the community reeling. It was particularly shocking to learn that the perpetrator was not a stranger, but rather a member of the family, someone who was supposed to be trusted. The tragic and senseless nature of the crime raised difficult questions about human motivations, the impact of violent media, and the role of familial relationships in shaping an individual's actions. The case also highlighted how, even in a family setting, violence and betrayal can occur. Dwyer's relationship with her grandfather, once built on trust and affection, was destroyed by greed and the toxic influence of media. It is unclear to what extent American Horror Story may have contributed to her violent tendencies, but there is no doubt that the series played a role in shaping her mindset. It is clear that at some point, Dwyer lost the emotional connection to her grandfather, which allowed her to coldly carry out the murder. According to Dwyer's defense team, her actions were partially driven by the dark themes she had been exposed to in the television series. American Horror Story is notorious for pushing boundaries, exploring the most unsettling aspects of human behavior. At the same time, it is important to recognize that Dwyer's actions were not solely the result of media influence. Her accomplice, Bernadette Burns, played a significant role in the crime, waiting in the car while Dwyer entered the house. Burns, though less directly involved in the murder, was equally complicit in the plan to rob Wytwill of his savings. The details of the crime itself are chilling. Dwyer and Burns arrived in Adelaide in August 2016 with the sole intention of stealing Wytwill's life savings. The elderly man, who had kept his money hidden in a shed out of mistrust for banks, was unaware that his granddaughter had been plotting his death for weeks. While Burns waited in the car, Dwyer took the knife and rubber gloves and entered her grandfather's house. The attack was brutal and shocking. Dwyer stabbed Wytwill repeatedly, and he fought for his life. Even after the brutal assault, Wytwill attempted to tend to his own wounds, asking Dwyer why she was attacking him. Yet Dwyer showed no remorse and continued to go about her business, doing the dishes, while her grandfather bled out in the kitchen. It was a cold and callous act, one that showed no empathy or compassion. The murder was not discovered until 3 days later, when Wytwill's body was found by family members. The discovery sent shockwaves through the family, who struggled to come to terms with the fact that one of their own had committed such a horrific act. Dwyer's arrest followed soon after the discovery of the body. The police investigation revealed the full extent of the crime, and the subsequent legal proceedings revealed the disturbing motivations behind Dwyer's actions. The chilling details of the crime have left the community in disbelief as they come to terms with the fact that a young woman could commit such a brutal act of violence. For the family of Robert Wytwill, the loss is immeasurable. Not only has the family lost a beloved member, but they also now have to face the fact that their granddaughter was responsible for his death. The shock and grief felt by his family members are compounded by the betrayal of trust, as they grapple with the reality that the crime was committed by someone they loved. The case has raised many questions about the role of media in shaping behavior, particularly among vulnerable individuals. While American Horror Story is known for its disturbing content, it remains to be seen how much responsibility the media should bear in influencing individuals to commit violent acts. However, one thing is clear: the tragic murder of Robert Wytwill has revealed the complex intersection of media, family, and human nature. During the trial, Dwyer's defense team attempted to mitigate her sentence by emphasizing her youth and the influence of American Horror Story on her actions. However, Judge Nicholson made it clear that these factors did not justify the brutal and premeditated nature of the murder. The killing was planned, and it was carried out with a cold, calculating mindset, the judge stated. Both Dwyer and Burns pleaded guilty to murder. Burns was sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 13 years. Dwyer's sentence was similarly severe, with a mandatory minimum of 21 years before she could be eligible for parole. The death of Robert Wytwill has devastated his family, and the entire community is still struggling to come to terms with the horror of the crime. The case has opened up difficult debates surrounding the role of violent media in shaping behavior. But at the heart of this tragedy lies a simple truth. The most terrible crimes can sometimes be committed not by strangers, but by those who are closest to us. As we reflect on the tragic case of Brittny Dwyer and Bernadette Burns, we are reminded of the complex intersection of personal choices, external influences, and the devastating consequences of violence. The murder of Robert Wytwill serves as a chilling reminder of the power of media, the fragility of family bonds, and the dark forces that can shape human behavior. At Law and Justice Reports, we are committed to bringing you the latest and most in-depth coverage of significant criminal cases, legal proceedings, and the broader implications of justice in our society. If you found this report insightful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more updates on the latest legal stories. Your support helps us continue delivering factual, investigative content to keep you informed. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to bringing you more compelling reports on the intersection of law and justice in the future. Stay tuned. Law and Justice Reports, where justice meets truth.